All right, it's JPEG Raw show number 206, recorded on February 13th, 2018. And tonight, the theme for tonight, Tim, is, or just for one topic anyway, I need more speed.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about...
You're talking about it for multiple reasons.
I'm talking about it for multiple reasons. Not so much for my internet connection, which I do need, but that's not a topic for this show. But it's a topic for some of my software. Before we get into that and something that happened today, I was prepared to talk about this tonight, but then it actually got released today. So we'll cover that in just a second. I did download it. I have not played with it at all, so I don't know anything more than what I was already ready to talk about. But before we get into that, we want to talk about our photo contest in case anybody doesn't listen all the way to the end. Our photo contest, let me get this set up here. Here we go. And let me get rid of that lower third. Nobody needs to see that. Photo contest, we are still in the voting. We're about to finalize the voting for the finalist for the JPEG to RAW group. We're down to 3 images, Tim, and those 3 are from Gina Perry. We'll go ahead and look at this post. Gina Perry, Debbie Henry, and Spencer Sullivan with a baby, a cat, and landscape. Very diverse group there. Winner, I think we're waiting on 1 or 2 more votes, and then we'll be able to lock that up hopefully here the next day and get that done. We are going to show you in just a second the beginners group, and I think we're going to announce, let's go ahead and announce the winner of that. But we have the next one already started here for February. If you want to enter, you go over to, if I can click it, go over to jpegraw.com. jpegraw.com/contest, and you can enter right there from the website, or there's links to the either one of the Facebook groups where you can enter through that way. That's how most people do it. But every month, somebody enters through the website, and that's fine too. I can handle either way. But going through the Facebook group is generally what most people do. Either in the beginner or in the regulars group, whichever one you feel more comfortable, or in some cases, maybe you want to enter both. That's fine too, whatever you feel comfortable with. So the theme for February is open. We've been doing open for a while, and I think we're going to mix in some themes coming up soon, Tim. So I'm going to do.
Oh boy, we're getting back to that. Good.
I'm going to do a post in the group and ask for some ideas on what people want for a theme. It'd be nice to have like a whole list of ideas that we can pull from at a later date, but need to decide. Maybe we'll do March as a theme.
Okay, good.
Yep. All right, so that's that. Let's look at some of those photos I was talking about. I want to look at the 3 that were entered from the
beginners group.
From the beginners group. Let me pull that up. Got this one here. Hold on, I'll bring us. There we go. This one here, entered by, I am not ready, by William Alexander. In a beginner's group.
That was easy for you to pronounce.
It was. I think I may be able to do all 3 tonight.
Oh boy.
William Alexander, and he had a good write up on what all he was thinking here. Is pretty long. I'm not going to go through it. We'll probably go through this on a photo review show. But he was really thinking as he's going through this image with a lot of thought placed into this image, and I love hearing about all his ideas on what he was shooting for there. So awesome image from William. And then somebody who's starting to become one of my favorite photographers, and this is Christina Binge, who, of course, I'm a sucker for dogs. I love dogs. Who took this image of her dog, and the dog has that look of, come on, get over with this. I'm ready to go do something. I don't know about you. If you have dogs, Tim, my dogs, once you bathe them, they are crazy after the bath, and they want to jump out of the tub and go running. So to have to sit there and pause for the photo is probably driving this dog nuts. But I love that shot. Great shot. And then last up is this image here from Nancy Smith, who Nancy was also the winner of the Best of 2017 in the beginners group.
That's right.
Yeah, that great photo she took of, at a somber event, a funeral for a service member, I believe. Anyway, those are the 3 entries in the group, and I was really torn in this group on which one to pick. So I had to ask for a second opinion because I liked all 3 of them and I needed a second opinion to get something there. So in the end, we picked Christina Binge
Yes, we did.
well, not Nancy Smith. Hold on, I'll get the right name. Christina Binge as the winner for the beginners group. So congratulations, Christina. Great images from all 3. We need to get more participation in the beginners group. I need to get a little more active in there and get more people going in that group because it's a great group. If you don't feel comfortable maybe in the regular group, which there's great folks in there, nobody's going to beat you up. If you don't feel comfortable in that group, come over to the beginners group and help us get that rolling a little bit. I should also mention that in a beginners group, if you post a question, we'll try and answer it in that, but also AD, when we do a photo review show, AD wants some of those questions so we can work it into that thing too. So we won't embarrass you and call out your name unless you specifically ask us to, but feel free to ask anything in that group without judgment. That's a great group to be a member of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that, we'll come back to us. And I had a few topics to talk about tonight, Tim.
Yes, you did.
And we'll start off with the one I was hinting toward. But first, I do want to say welcome our Podbean listeners and viewers. That group, the number of viewers we're getting from that group is exploding. Yeah, I don't know what it is. And those poor guys and gals over there on Podbean, you're way behind, and it's because of me. I was catching it up. It wasn't something I was really putting out there at first, but I'm catching it up. And because of that, every Sunday morning, a new one gets released. But it is like on show number 196. It's 10 shows behind. And right now I'm just having it every Sunday. So you're 10 weeks behind. It'll get caught up. And if Tim and I start doing a whole bunch of shows, I may make it go faster. But so it may be a while before you actually hear me say this. But thank you for watching through and listening through Podbean. All right. What I had today, wanted to talk about today, Tim, is, well, let me ask you this. What is your editing machine? The machine you do
Windows.
your photo machines, Windows.
Windows.
Tell me a little bit about the specs. What CPU, what RAM?
Wow, it's you're going to put me on the spot there. I guess 16 gigs RAM. It's probably a 3-year-old quad-core processor. It's not overclocked or anything. I do not have a video card in it yet.
Oh, wow.
I was planning on my next build to put a video card in because when I built this machine, Lightroom didn't take any use of a video card. So it's like, I don't game with it, so why bother with it? It's got several SSD drives in it, probably 3 or 4, a couple of black drives that I have the backup of my photos that I rotate out.
Okay.
Water cooled, and it's water cooled.
So I would say a couple things, and we're not going to get into crypto mining, but everybody's probably heard of Bitcoin and that kind of stuff.
No crypto mining with this machine.
And why do I bring that up here in a photography show? You mentioned video card, and Lightroom does take some small advantage of your video card, depending on your video card. It can be sped up a little bit, and they added that back in like Lightroom 6 or something like that, where it takes some advantage of your video card. I have a good video card, and to be honest, I didn't see much of a difference when they started using that more. It didn't make much of a difference for me, speed-wise. But I bring up crypto mining because video cards are really hard to get now.
And very expensive.
Very expensive and hard to get. I would love to get a different one for one of the ones I do the show for, because I need more speed from a video card standpoint there. But getting the one I want, you can only buy used ones. And if you're buying used ones today, it's from some crypto miner guy or girl who has abused it and is reselling it.
Abused, yeah.
Yeah. So, I would only buy new right now, and buying them new is, like you said, expensive, and they're harder to find.
And difficult to get.
So, so that's one thing. But you mentioned you had a quad-core system. Is it Intel?
Correct. Yeah, it's Intel.
Okay. So maybe hyper-threaded. This is one thing I'm not sure on the specs, but Lightroom, a lot of people didn't know this. but Lightroom had an issue when you had more than 4 cores. That, let's say you had 6 cores or 10 cores or more, you had more than 4 cores. What I'm not sure of is it 4 actual cores or 4 hyper-threaded cores. And I know I'm getting a little technical here, but if you have a modern PC with like an i7, so not an i5, but an i7 that is a fairly modern PC, and you're thinking, I've got the speed. What is wrong with Lightroom? Why isn't it any faster than this? Many reasons, but one of them was because of it didn't scale up like it should. It should, as you added more cores, CPU cores, it wasn't really scaling up very well.
Right.
And some people, to the extent that actually it might have been hurting your performance on a system that had more than 4 cores, that people were even deactivating cores for Lightroom, and setting that up so it didn't use all the cores, so they can get more speed. Anyway, was it Lightroom 7 or 7.1, something like that? They said they made some speed improvements.
Yeah, 7.1.
Yeah, and we saw some improvements. For me, though, I have a 6-core machine, hyper-threaded 12 cores, 64 gig of RAM. Every hard drive on my computer is an SSD, including the M.2 drive, which is on the motherboard, and a good video card. And even with those specs, if I'm doing a long editing session, let's say I go out and shoot a sporting event, and I come back and I got 1,200 photos to go through, and I'm culling them, X and P, X and P,
Yeah,
X and
pick
P,
an X, right?
X and P, and then I'm wanting to do some editing. X and P is generally, with the 7.1, was generally pretty fast. But as I'm doing editing, as I'm going from one image to the next image, and I do a lot. Let's say if you do a shot of like 3 or 4, bang, 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 images in a row, so they're really fairly similar. I might edit the first one and then do the thing where you paste the settings to the next ones. So as I would go through that, the computer seemed to get slower and slower with Lightroom. And the way to fix it was close Lightroom, bring it back up, bam, I'm back to normal speed. And I can repeat this over and over again. And it wasn't like it was half as fast. It was just maybe 80% as fast. Noticeable. 70 to 80% as fast. So you could notice that it was a little slightly off.
Now, have you had any update to the whole Intel? Well, are you using Intel or are you?
I am.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Are you have any issue with the I
Spectrum and Meltdown?
Spectrum. Yeah.
I have not. So in all these machines, things are patched as far as the Windows goes. So I think it's fine. And what I'm doing tonight should be pushing it, and it's fine. So I haven't seen anything there. But today, Lightroom released version 7.2. I pulled up Adobe Creative Cloud, the little app that comes along with it, and it didn't show that. I had to actually tell it to check for updates.
Right, that's what I did.
You had to tell it to check for updates. And when you do that update, it does make some. I've only downloaded it and played with it for a few seconds before the show started, but there's been out in beta and there's been some people testing it for a while. So let me show you what it says. The updates is CPU and memory optimization. Experience faster performance on machines with a 12 gig of RAM or more. When you import, export, move between photos in loop view, create HDR images and panoramas. This is straight when you update Lightroom, this little box will tell you, hey, here's the things that are updated to Lightroom. And we're talking about Lightroom Classic CC, not that new thing that I don't care about right now. But it did several updates. There is a new library filter for edited and unedited images. I want to see, that sounds interesting. And create collections from folders. That sounds interesting. Nested folder search. I don't care too much about that. But what it doesn't say it here, but I have seen it listed somewhere else where the people were testing it. That whole problem I was just talking about, where over an editing session it gets slower. They're claiming it's fixed with this update.
Yeah, and Petapixel, I think it was the article that I read that talked about that. And it says he addressed the program slowing down over time.
Well, I have 2 basketball shoots I need to edit. And so I'll put
So
that through the
you will
test.
find out.
I will find out by this weekend if that's true. And Adobe says this is just one of more speed improvements coming.
Well, I think they're starting to see other products out there that may be honing in on their products. So maybe they're stepping up their game a little bit, because they seem to have not done a whole lot with it. And definitely the performance is the one thing that probably would have been my biggest complaint, or it was always my biggest complaint with Lightroom.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have said that. It's been a biggest complaint for a lot of people is the speed is just not there.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, and I don't think I have that many pictures in my Lightroom catalog that it's, I mean, I'm sure there are much bigger collections out there than mine.
I'm sure it is much bigger than mine too. But if you have not seen this yet and you want some faster speed in Lightroom, go into your Adobe Creative Cloud and tell it to update. I'm sure it'll do it automatically eventually, where it will tell you there's an update. But if you want to force it, just do the check for updates and you should get it.
Now, at the same time, it also had an update to Photoshop. I didn't reopen Photoshop to see what was in there, but I'm assuming they made some updates to that as well.
Yeah, in the Creative Cloud, they had a number of updates. Because I had to be careful about what I updated right before the show. I've only done this one,
Right.
and I really didn't get to play with it that much. But I'm looking forward to it and want to see some improvements. I did have one thing I will tell you. Mine was on this system, it should not be slow, but it was really dog slow. With Christine out there, I used the term dog. It was really dog slow when I was editing this past event. And what I had was, remember that people thing we talked about a few shows back? What is it called? The people, I can't pull it up and kill the system. People view or whatever it was. I had it set on where it was trying to do that all the time.
Or identify
Find
the
faces
face,
or whatever it is.
Face recognition.
Holy crap, that was killing my performance.
Oh, I just get up and walk away now.
Yeah. So
After I import.
I turned that off, and that made a big improvement. But I'm hoping that I'll see another big improvement as I go to edit my next thing.
I actually do like the facial recognition, but even after I take it, I go through every individual picture, because if somebody's face might be sideways, it's not capturing it anyway. Yeah. So you got to still look to make sure, because I try to keyword all my pictures, and because I know if I don't do it right away, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. It really for me, I would love for them to put most of their attention toward speed and forget about improvements for a while. Not forever.
I agree.
I would love for them to have their team motto be we're team speed.
Yeah.
All we're going to do is work on speed until we get it to a point where we say we're good, and then you can start moving to other features.
I wonder what the user base for Lightroom is, because you got to think people that use phones don't use an editing. So unless you're doing this with an SLR, you're probably not importing your pictures with a phone.
Yeah, I'd agree. So out in chat, if you use Lightroom, just let us know if you use Lightroom. Because I mean, I'm sure they got a massive user base.
You would imagine so, but
yeah.
And I'm sure they're thinking the Lightroom CC is the one that may be beneficial to people that have phones. But I don't know if people are going to use it. I mean, I use Google Photos with my phone, and it's almost good enough. Yeah. I mean, my daughter says to me, "Let me see my baby pictures." I just type her name in, and every picture that she was in on Google Photos is there of her.
Well, I think that people like my kids, they're not interested in DSLR. They're just going to take photos with their phone.
Yeah.
But so that's a different level. If that's what you're doing, then yeah, the phone is fine. And phones have gotten so much better. They really have killed the point and shoot market.
Yeah, point and shoot. I used to have one, and other than my waterproof camera, which apparently the last time I went with it on the water wasn't all that waterproof. Yeah. Well, that's another story.
Yeah, I have a waterproof one somewhere back there, a little Nikon. But it's
AW130. That's what I have.
Yeah.
That's not that good anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Oh, that's interesting to know. That it wasn't waterproof.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't have it sealed all the way. I'm going to guess it was user error.
Yeah. All right. So give Lightroom a try. Let us know what your experiences are. I would love to hear from you. You can send us your comments either in the Facebook group or to JPEG to podcast@jpegraw.com. All right, Tim, I have a couple more articles here that I want to talk about. And I know I got a list for Tim, so he's probably wondering which one I'm going to go to.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the Instagram photos killing historic tree.
Yes. Okay. That's this one. Yes.
And this is a historic tree. I don't know anything about this tree, but I thought this was
I think did I when you
I thought this
when I saw it, I was like, I know nothing about
I
it.
thought this was very interesting. And to tell you what I'm doing right now is I'm watching a lot of videos as I work out on a treadmill, which I'm going to, if you're wondering what am I wearing, I'm wearing my workout clothes. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go and work out right away. And while I'm working out, I'm switching between watching photography YouTube channels and photo videos about Iceland. I would love to go to Iceland someday. And I think that's doable. I think it's the average person could go to Iceland.
Yeah, I think so.
So as I'm watching that, that's why this article struck a chord with me. As I'm watching these Iceland videos, and this tree is not in Iceland. I think there's almost no trees in Iceland. As I'm watching this, you see a lot of tourists who are interested in getting that selfie or doing whatever, and they're one, either not being safe or not respecting the whatever it is they want to get their selfie with. In this case, it's this historic tree in New Zealand where people are going, I'll show you a picture of it, people are going and sitting in the tree and taking these photos because, I take it, I don't know this person, so I'm not going to judge this person, but I'm taking it what they're thinking is, hey, if I kill the tree, but at least I got my Instagram photo, and 12 people hearted my shot. But in the meantime, you're killing the tree, and as you do that, the next person who goes down down there wants to do the same thing. In Iceland, there's this iconic plane crash. If you see pictures of Iceland that weren't a waterfall, you've probably seen this plane crash that's on this black sand thing in the plane crash, and everybody wants to go and stand on it and take photos. Well, you send 50,000 people a year through that thing standing on it, and the next year no one's going to be able to go see it because you broke it.
Right.
So have some respect for the area you're going to. That was all that article was.
Now, the comment, the funny thing is that guy says there in that picture is no harm was done to this tree. Now, I wonder if that really was him in the tree, or did he do something to get himself in that tree? It makes me wonder.
Well, and even if he, photoshopped himself into the tree, he's encouraged somebody to go and put themselves in the tree.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's sort of like the talk we've had about train tracks. You photograph yourself on train tracks, and you're encouraging someone else to go and do it too. So keep that in mind. He does mention that climbing this tree will soon be banned, and that's what, maybe they just need to do that. If there's a tree New Zealand really cares about that they want to preserve, they probably should ban it. But, having to go around your entire country and ban everything gets a little tiring. And then putting up a sign, like one of the things, we talked about drones in the show. I'm going to go back to Iceland because I've talked a lot about that. We've been watching a lot about that. All over Iceland now, they're saying, no drone flying. They have lots of places you can fly them, but some places you can't. So they have a sign that says no drones. And yet people will fly their drone right over it because, they don't care about that.
Well, did you see, speaking of that, I saw a picture last week of somebody with a drone flew over an airplane as the airplane was landing.
That's insane. That person should be arrested.
Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the pilot even saw it, but he was definitely over the plane as the plane was coming in on the runway. So that was well over 500 feet. And
well, up until a year or so ago, the saying was that people could say there's never been a reported case of a plane or a helicopter hitting a drone, and now that's no longer the case.
Now it happened. I think last week or something.
I don't remember what it was, but we had that military helicopter that was hit by a drone, and of course it didn't bring down the helicopter, but it took a gash into the blade, which I'm sure isn't cheap. And I think it's also hit a plane. Yeah, it also hit a plane at that one place too. So you're ruining it for everyone else.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Do you still use your drone?
Sometimes, not as often as I used to. So that was an
Yeah.
expensive thing. But I did 2 weeks ago, took it out and did all the updates that I've missed because you can't fly it until you do the freaking updates. So I did all those updates and it's ready to, well, now there's been a couple of weeks, I'll probably get to do more updates and then I can fly it. Yep. All right. So be respectful of the areas
Yes.
you go into and think about the next, people who might come and view that. Leave it for somebody else to look at. In some
Leave it for the next
places,
generation.
like Iceland, you could actually die if you're not careful.
Well, yeah, they talked about in that airplane one that you can't drive to it because it's soft, and
Yeah.
there's usually not a lot of people around there, so you might get stuck.
Well, there, as beautiful as the place is, it can be a very dangerous place if you don't pay attention. All right. We talk a lot about people, stealing other people's images and that kind of stuff and using them. But along those lines, the U.S. Copyright Office has made it easier, or going to. I think it's going to happen later this month. It's making it easier to register your photos. And you can register them in, up to 750 images at a time, all digital. You don't have to fill out any paperwork other than digital paperwork. And the way that, if I read this right, is $55 for up to 750 images, right? Per group, $55 per group. So you probably want to put as many in that group as you can, and up to 550 megs. So you're not sending the original RAWs, you're sending some kind of compressed image.
Right, 500 megs. So if you think about that, you're taking 750 pictures down to 500 megs. That's pretty small picture. They're thumbnails.
Yeah, they're thumbnails. And also the one of the things they pointed out in this article is that if you get infringement on one image, it is the copyright or the protection is for each individual image. So even though you put them up there in bulk, 750 at a time, it's not like they took one, so it's not one 750th of damages. Each image still stands on its own, even if you sent them as a group.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And that might have been the case all along. I don't remember. But I've never registered any images. A lot of mine are sports photos, so somebody's not going to steal those. But if you are taking stuff that you're going to publish or do something like that, it's probably better to register these early before you publish them and get them registered and to protect them.
Right.
All right.
You just got to hope somebody doesn't try and register your image before you do.
If you published it, yeah. Well, I guess at that point you'd have to prove you have the raw image.
Right.
All right. I don't know if I want to talk about that Kodak thing.
Yeah, you know what? I read that and I
because it's confusing.
I don't know if I totally understand. Yeah.
We'll just say this. A couple shows ago or whatever it was, I mentioned Kodacoin, this cryptocurrency from Kodak. Apparently is not Kodak, the one we know of Kodak. It is someone has licensed the name Kodak and just stuck the name Kodak on the side of a crypto mining machine. That makes no sense to me. Why would I be interested in a crypto mining machine that had Kodak's name on it? I don't know, but it has nothing to do with the camera company that we know of. So just to update that information I was giving out earlier, that it wasn't quite what I was thinking.
Me either.
Yeah. All right. And where are we at in time? Oh, we're doing great on time. All right. I want to talk about this thing, this chair pod thing here. You see this?
Yep.
To tell you the truth, it's a cool idea. I would never use it.
No, I wouldn't. I asked for Christmas years ago one of those. I think it was called like a hunter's tripod or something, which is probably just the bottom of that. I think maybe my father would use this, and he's 83, 85.
Yeah,
maybe I could see that.
I would never use that. But you're right, the bottom. The bottom is basically, so forget about the tripod part of it. The bottom part of it is the chair part of it is basically what I would use when I was shooting soccer.
Right. That's what I have.
If I was shooting larger kids, let's say high school or something like that, you could stand up because even at the field's so big, at that point you are basically at eye level.
Hmm.
But for any of the smaller kids, I want to be down lower, either sitting on the ground or on something like this. The beauty of this one, if you get the hunter one, is that you can swivel.
Oh,
The one I had, I could swivel, so I can move around with it like that.
no, mine didn't.
But I would never use one that had this thing sticking out of it.
No. No.
Just looks crazy.
Yeah, I don't see myself ever using something like that.
Call the chair pod.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? There will be people that say this is great. They'll buy it, they'll use it twice, and it'll be stuck in the corner of a closet.
Yep. I can't see me using it. All right, I got something new today, Tim. I've not tried it out yet, and let's see, it's this. So I'm gonna have to show it to hold on. I'm gonna have to show it to one camera that you can see, and then show it to the one camera that everyone else can see. So this is for you, Tim. This is for everybody else. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, what it is got HDMI on one side, USB on the other, and what this allows you to do is, if you wanted to bring video from your DSLR into your computer, how do you do that? If you just hook up your HDMI to your video card, it won't work. I mean, your
So this is
camera.
without taking the card out of the camera.
This is not for transmitting photos.
Okay.
This is for transmitting video.
Oh, right. So you could watch it on your TV then.
That's one. Yes, well, that's one case. But let's say you want to use your DSLR as a webcam.
Okay.
You can do
Oh,
that.
no, I didn't even think of that.
You can do that. Or in the case that I'm wanting to use it for, hopefully it works, is the chair pod can support up to 176 pounds, VDOT says. Yeah, so that won't work for me.
Me either. I guess I have to get two of them. Well, not quite two.
Yeah, I don't know
You
if
have to hang onto your camera when you stand up because it'll fall over.
What I want to use this for, Tim, is when I want to show the menu on the camera. Turn the show. I could actually show the back of the camera, the menu on it. So that's what I'm hoping I can show there.
Did our stream freeze?
Oh,
It says my live stream is offline.
yeah. You know what? I'm seeing that too. All of a sudden, our bandwidth is going crazy. 45. Okay, we're back.
Now it looks like it's going again. Okay.
Yeah, I have to cut that out of the show, maybe.
Yeah, 176 pounds. Yeah, and as Gary says, talks in that one picture where it's leaning forward the camera, if you stand up, it's falling over.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not for
Not
me.
something you're interested in?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
That won't be on my Christmas wish list.
I'm trying to real quick see who's using up my bandwidth, what IP is. Great. One of my Ring cameras is doing something. Another reason why I need more bandwidth. Anyway, we look like we're back online. All right, so in the final article I had in this segment here is, if you remember a few shows back, I talked about Thomas Heaton, one of the from the photographers, landscape photographers I've been listening to and watching whenever I'm doing getting on a treadmill, and somebody, maybe it was Gary out in chat, somebody recommended was it Nigel Danson, and I've been watching his channel too. So now I have Nigel and I have Thomas Heaton. I'm watching both of those, but I'm not watching Iceland videos. So I want to just point him out. I know he has a large following already, but I enjoy his channel. And Petapixel, I think it was Petapixel. No, F-Stoppers. F-Stoppers did, they will write a lot of short articles, and a lot of it is just talking about what somebody else did. So one of the articles they wrote was, hey, check out Nigel's post on, it wasn't this white balance one. It was master your wide angle lens in photography.
Mm-hmm.
It was that one there. They posted about that. It's a good video. And you know, and I think it was Alex maybe wrote the article, and he talks, you know,
Yeah.
he goes into a little bit, but Alex is keen to say he's not wanting to summarize the video for you because he feels he doesn't want to take something away from the person
The video
who
itself,
created
right.
it. So, you know, if you want to see all the details, go watch Nigel's video versus him, you know, Alex writing a whole story where you can just read this and now you don't have to go watch the video. He did get a number of comments. And I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks, like what you think, Tim, that what Nigel does, not with every video, but with a lot of them, what Thomas does too, and you're seeing this more and more, is they do a lot of B-roll, you know, different scenes of them walking up to the thing, them talking. So if you're watching it to get a step-by-step how-to in 5 minutes, like in this one, master your wide angle lens. If you want a 5-minute, you know, step-by-step guide to here's what you do, you watch it and you're out. That's not what he does. That's what, not at least in this video, it is a 15-minute video, and there's some fluff. There's some of him talking. There's some scenery. I will tell you that for me, I didn't expect it to be a 5-minute or less video that just hit the topics and he was out. And when I'm on the treadmill, which is what I'm watching these, so this may be specific to just me, I'm all right with it being a little bit longer video.
Right, I agree. And 15 minutes is it gets your attention and gives you a lot of information in it. 5 minutes might be too short, and if it's an hour, you may not.
Right.
You might lose. You may not finish it up, and.
But I think there's a certain group, and I can see their point that they're wanting just give me the points, get to it, and get out. But you know, maybe this channel's not for you. But there was a lot of comments on that article that were critical of Nigel, and really that group of people who do that, who really they're producing I look at what they're doing, they're producing a pretty good video. They're getting, you know, you look at Thomas's videos, he's getting better and better at the production value of what he's doing.
I'm going to have to watch this one later.
And there you go. Now I got another one. Hold on. I got another suggestion out there. Kim Grant from Scotland. That sounds like an awesome one. I'm going to be checking that one out too. Kim Grant from Scotland has a great YouTube. I guess it's YouTube on landscape. So good. I'll check that one out. Thanks, Chan, out in chat. Those are really what I had to talk about tonight, Tim.
You had the one other story in there on Madison Square Garden, the fake it till you make it.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. And it's a long career, and he talked about how he was a nobody, and they wanted him to pay. How much did he want to charge for Muhammad Ali? He wanted to take pictures of him, and they wanted a small fee. And he said, "No, I work for Madison Square Garden," and he didn't. And he went up taking some iconic pictures of Muhammad Ali. Went up taking the only pictures ever of Elvis at Madison Square Garden. And he talked about, now I don't know if you get away with this in today's day and age based on this article. I think this is another time and another era where it doesn't happen like that anymore. But I think you probably have sadly, you have a lot of photographers out there that fake it and in their own right anyway.
Yeah, you know, you hear that term a lot. Fake it till you make it. I don't know what Gary's talking about in chat video, but and I can understand that. You know, sometimes you've got to, in order to make it, you've got to cut some corners.
Right.
But I'm also leery sometimes. I see, you know, I don't have a good way to get to it right now. And I don't know if this is fake or have ever been shown, but you ever seen those photos that are of a portrait, a family, you know, 2 kids, a wife and a husband. And it's the photographer claims that, you know, she took the photos and the sun was so bright and her faces were all shot out and blown out. And then when she re-edited them, they came out just absolutely crazy. But that's what she gave the client. that if that's true, and I don't know if I stopped reading about it to find out if it was true or just a hoax. If that's true, that is not the kind of fake it till you make it that you should be doing. Have you seen?
No.
If anybody has a link
no.
to that, if anybody has a link to that, maybe I'll try and find it in the post show. Maybe we'll pull up in another show. But that is just hilarious when you see it. And then a lot of people were copying it and actually posting their photos like that. So it could have been just somebody trying to get attention, or because I hate to know that was really a photographer who did that and then gave that to the client. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I have to search for that in the post show. All right, Tim. Yep. Anything else?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. So, look. Yep. Let me just go one more time. If you come over if you want to join our photo contest, come over to jpegtoraw.com/contest. Enter through there. Theme for this month is open. We'd love to have you enter if you've never entered before. We're really easy on you. We're not going to be too harsh in the review of the image and everything. But come out there if not, we'd love to have you come out here live. We try and do this Tuesdays. We've been a little sparse here recently. Hopefully for the 2018, we'll get a little bit more active in doing this and have them more Tuesdays and get some guests and some stuff coming up. So that's all I have. I think we're going to go ahead and cut out, and we'll go in the post show. So thank you guys for showing up. Gary, Jan, VDOT, and Christina was out there earlier. If I missed you, sorry. We're generally live on YouTube and Facebook. Tonight was just YouTube, and we'll have this recorded and out soon. Oh, let me tell you where you can subscribe. So as long as I had us over here with this, go up to subscribe. Of course, if you're watching through YouTube, you can just subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can also get us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn for audio, for video, iTunes, YouTube, Vimeo. And then, of course, we have the Photo Review Show where you can get it from those places too. There's also a link here. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I don't know how many people go to the website to begin with, but there's all our social links here. So on Facebook, we have the main group, we have the beginner group, we have a sports group. If you're interested in sports, posting about sports, we have a boudoir group. Sports and boudoir group are not that active, but we'd love to have you come in there. I love talking about sports photos. That's kind of what I like to do, and I'd love to have some more conversation going on about there. The boudoir group was set up mainly so that people felt comfortable posting that kind of stuff in that group. You still got to listen to Facebook rules, but it's mainly to segment those out so they feel comfortable about that. And then, of course, we're on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, and Flickr. Instagram, Pinterest, Flickr, and Google+, we're not that active in. If you really want to get involved with us, Facebook, Twitter to some degree, and then, of course, YouTube. All right, so until next week, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.